breathe. Good afternoon, Aurora, and welcome to our first community conversation since we have returned back to normal hours at City Hall with our city staff here. This is our 37th community conversation that was started a long time ago when this pandemic first kicked off. Early on during the pandemic, we began a series of these virtual community conversations to keep the community informed and educated about what was going on in our world. You know, the conversations were so well received, we've decided to keep them as a regular part of our programming here at City Hall in this administration. Today's conversation is part of our series of events honoring Hispanic Heritage Month that we call AURORA AVANZANDO, which means moving Aurora forward. We have more than a dozen events throughout the month that began last week. Each Wednesday as noon, we'll be right here on Facebook Live with special guests in honor of this month. Today and next Wednesday, I'll be holding conversation with some of our strong Latino leaders here at City Hall. And let me say, these folks are very committed to AURORA AVANZANDO, pushing Aurora forward. Let me start out with some introductions. We got representing Aurora Police Department is Sergeant Ed Gallardo, who is also the PIO team and recruitment team. What's up? What's up, Gilardo? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Now, the next person, she helps to keep Aurora residents, businesses stay up to par with codes, property standards, and everything else. Property standard manager, Ruthie Harris. What's up, Ruthie? Good to see you. You know, next is our city translator and communication specialist, Silvana Lecaros, who helps to bridge the language divide in Aurora. How you doing, Silvana? Give everybody a wave. We also have with us our new director of communication stepping in for Clayton Muhammad, and our first ever Aurora Idol. That means that brother can blow. Tony Martinez. What's up, Tony? How you doing? Yeah, I'm glad to have you, my brother. You know, he's a former teacher and veteran who now leads our youth as the city's youth service manager, Simon Rodriguez. What's up, Simon? Give everybody a thumbs up. Finally, we have our youngest ever superintendent of parks and recreation, Gino Santana, in the house. What's up, G? What's up, Gio? How you doing, brother? Now, what I'm going to do next, man, I'm gonna have every one of you guys talk a little bit personally about, tell the community a little bit more about yourself personally. We'll talk about your professional job duties in a second, but you know who you are, where you're from, and how'd you end up a leader here in the city of Aurora. Let's start with Sergeant Gallardo.
Hello, everybody. My name's Ed Gallardo. I'm here as a police sergeant here at the police department. I've been here since 2007, so I've been here for quite a few years. I'm originally from Joliet. After I graduated high school, I went to the University of Illinois down in Urbana-Champaign, go U of I. I got into law enforcement. I originally started with Romeoville, but I wanted to come somewhere bigger. Being from Joliet, I wanted to be somewhere that was similar in the makeup and diversity. So I wound up applying to Aurora, and I got hired here. And I've been happy here for quite a long time. I got promoted to sergeant back in 2018, and just trying to move forward, trying to get recruitment, and trying to get some people involved in the police department.
Absolutely, my brother. Glad to have you as leadership here in the city of Aurora, my man. And yes, we're similar to Joliet, but a whole lot bigger, brother. Second largest city in the state. So I'm glad you decided to come on home to Aurora, my man. Welcome aboard, and glad to have you part of this conversation as one of our Latino leaders. Let's go to Ruthie Harris. Tell the folks a little bit about you, Ruth. You want to mute?
I'm Ruthie Harris. I was actually born in Chicago, moved to Puerto Rico, spent some time there before we came to beautiful Aurora, where I've been since I was 12 years old. So it's a little time there. I worked at the county level, and before I applied for a City of Aurora job and was hired here back in 1995, and been here ever since. And it's been a wonderful ride, and want to continue this ride with this administration. Absolutely.
Absolutely, Ruthie. Happy to have you part of the conversation, have you in leadership here in the city of Aurora. And glad to say that, you know, you gained these leadership roles right here during this administration, because we recognize, you know, your talent and your value to the city, and we want you helping us lead the city forward. AURORA AVANZANDO. Let's go on to our next person, Silvana Lecaros. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Silvana. Where are you from?
My name is Silvana Lecaros. As you said, I am from Peru. I was born and raised in Peru, Lima, Peru, the capital. So I have a son who is 20 years old, lives with me still, and I have been working for the city of Aurora since December 2017. I am really very happy here, and I'm looking forward for a few more years here in the city. Mm, I was graduated as an administrative assistant from a community college in Peru, and after my graduation, I was hired for a big bank in Peru, where I worked for 16 years as an administrative assistant. Then in July 2000, I moved with my ex-husband and my son here to the States. We moved to Red Lodge, Montana. And then in 2003, we moved to Chicago, Illinois. So where I'm living since then.
So you went from Peru, the big state in Peru, to Montana.
Yes, to Montana, a small town, small ski town, but it was beautiful out there. And then to Chicago again.
And then to Chicago. All right. Well, I'm glad to have you a part of the Aurora team here, helping move Aurora forward as one of our Latino leaders. Appreciate you being a part of this conversation today.
Yes.
Let's go on to my brother Tony Martinez. What's up, man? Tell people who you are, where you're from.
All right. So I've been with the city for about a little over a month now as the director of communications. I'm very happy to be here. Prior to the city, I was the director of community relations for the DuPage County Forest Preserves. And before that, I was the spokesman for West Aurora School District, and also worked before that, at East Aurora School District. So
that's really the only one you need to talk about, Tony. That's really the only one you need to talk about, brother.
Oh, no, I can't do that to the other folks. No. I love Aurora on both sides.
Absolutely, so do I.
I'm proud. My educational background, I've really gone to 3 schools my entire life, all of them in the city of Aurora. I went to Our Lady of Good Counsel from preschool all the way to 8th grade, and then went to Marmion Academy, and then I have a degree from Aurora University and my MBA from Aurora University. I'm proud, to be Puerto Rican. My dad came to Aurora when he was 17 years old. My mom was born here in Aurora. My grandparents came. Her parents came here in the late 1950s. So yeah, I just love being in Aurora, born, raised, and educated in the city.
My brother, glad to have you aboard. And a little bit of another fact about Tony as well. Now, Tony has been, part of Aurora fabric for a number of years. He was the first ever Aurora Idol. Now, when American Idol started years ago, Aurora started our own, program called Aurora Idol. And Tony won that thing late. And he was only about 16, 17 years old, blowing,
right.
singing Ricky Martin.
That's right. Oh, come on, Mayor. I didn't want to tell that.
Oh, hey, man, no. Hey, hold on to that, bro. Hey, hold on to that, brother. That's good. What group was Ricky Martin in starting off from Puerto Rico?
Menudo.
Yeah. Right, exactly right. I used to watch that cartoon and those guys way back in the day, man. So, hey, Tony, thanks for being part of this conversation, brother, being the leader here in the city and moving Aurora forward. Let's go on to my brother, Simon Rodriguez. What's up, man? Tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, man.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to be here, honored. Born and raised in Aurora, educated, same thing as Tony mentioned, up until high school, I should say. Archbishop Romero Catholic School until 8th grade, and then proud East Aurora alum, Tomcats. Yes, I know, Mayor. Love our city.
Ruthy too.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of Tomcats in the house. As you mentioned, also former a veteran of the United States Army National Guard. And then, thank you. Wabanzi Community College graduate, proud graduate. Thank you for the honor of last week as a distinguished alum recipient last week. And then Illinois State University for my bachelor's in education, social sciences education, Redbirds, and taught at East Aurora High School for about 5 years. And then I joined this amazing team here at the City of Aurora in the Youth Services Department. I actually worked for Youth Services when I was in high school under Fred Rogers. So it's a really full circle moment to now be the head of that department that I worked in as a high school student. Proud of my Mexican heritage. I am a son of Mexican immigrants. My family came from the states of Chihuahua and Durango and settled here in Aurora. Followed the lineage of many Mexicans that came from different parts of Mexico to set up here in Aurora, Illinois. And recently had my beautiful wife, Brazilian wife, who we're flying out to Brazil this evening. So I'm really excited about that, to visit my in-laws, and they're going to visit their grandson for the first time. So we welcomed Simon Gabriel 4 months ago into our lives, and it's been such a blessing.
Congratulations, my brother. Congratulations, man. And thanks for being proud of the Aurora leadership team here and joining this conversation. Simon, man, I remember when I met you, man, it had been about, well, I met you years ago, but the first time I saw you in action was about 3 years ago. I had come to an East Aurora back to school event. It was after the summer, we're getting back to school, and you were one of the folks speaking on stage, you know, kind of leading the whole festivities. And I was like, that's a brother we need working with the city of Aurora in youth services. And I didn't realize that you had worked in youth services with Fred Rogers till much later. And it is a full circle for you, man. So thanks for being part of the team. I appreciate that. And let's go. Absolutely, brother. Let's go to our last individual, but definitely not least, and probably one of our youngest individuals on the screen, but holding it down nonetheless, helping run the show here at our Parks Department. Gio Santana, what's up, my brother?
Thank you for having me, Mayor. Gio Santana. I've been in Aurora my whole life, born and raised in Aurora. I went to school on the east side. I went to Beaupre Elementary, and then went to St. Joe's for a couple years. Graduated from Aurora Central Catholic. Did a semester at Aurora University, and then I graduated from Western Illinois. I've been with the city a little over 17 years, started back in 2004. I did a year at the street department, a year in downtown maintenance. From there, moved on to property standards. When I graduated college, it didn't take me long to figure out that I went from wanting a paycheck to wanting a career with the city of Aurora, and being born and raised, you know, just having that opportunity to be part of the city that I grew up in and giving back to the community. It's been a blessing. Had a couple other positions with the city, and ultimately right now in the Parks Department as a superintendent.
Brother, thanks for being a part of the team, man. Yeah, you're doing a great job, and I like you being part of the leadership and being part of this conversation here. So, you know, let's jump into this conversation, man. And as I told you guys, this is a conversation. We're all family here. You know, this is Hispanic Heritage Month, and we know our Latino community has a vibrant mix of cultures and nationalities, and many represented on this very screen. We have folks from Peru, folks from Mexico, folks from Puerto Rico, but all Latinos, all Latinx, you know, and all, you know, bring a great culture and background to the city of Aurora. You know, talk about your cultures and heritage and what it means for you to be here representing today and in general. Now, Simon, if I'm not mistaken, did I hear you say you're first generation?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what does that mean to you being here as an American, but also being and proud to be an American, proud to be a part of the American culture, but also proud of your culture that your family brought here to, you know, be a part of the melting pot. Can you explain how important is that to you, and what does that mean to you?
It's very important. Like many, you know, sons and daughters of immigrants, first generation, it's very important, and it sometimes can be a heavy burden. You know, the expectations that are placed on you as far as where you'll go in life, what successes will you have, understanding that you are literally on the shoulders of giants who came before you and sacrificed education, their lives, their careers, escaped many things that a lot of us maybe cannot fathom to come to this country. And so I always carried that heavy responsibility, and rightfully so, to make sure that I am not only a representation of myself, I'm a representation of my ancestors, of my family, of my culture, of my people, and making sure that was always with me from the moment that, you know, I was a child, but especially when I got older. You know, when I walked across the stage at Illinois State University with my bachelor's degree, being the first in my family, and not just first in my immediate family, I'm talking about cousins and everything. Great moment, but it was a very humbling experience that I carried that weight and that degree and that diploma with me, along with my family, along with my parents and my ancestors that came before me. So it is a heavy responsibility, but one that I take with such pride and honor. So, and I know I'm sure I can speak for many folks here that are in a similar situation.
Wow, that's great. That is great. Let me, Ruth, let me switch to you. You had said something in your introduction that you actually, lived in Puerto Rico for a period of time. How does it feel to, be a part of this Aurora culture and, your background, your Boricua, background here in the city of Aurora. How does that bring, something to the city? And how is that important to you in representing to the Puerto Rican community in general?
Well, having lived in Puerto Rico just further exposed me to my culture. And I know that my culture is it's representative of strength, perseverance. We're like heavy into family. And all of that reminds me of what Aurora is. Aurora is absolutely a melting pot of diverse cultures. And having lived there, having lived in Chicago, and then coming here, it's like, wait a minute, I have this world here and this area here, all here, where I honestly proudly call home, and for many, many years. So I mean, I'm a proud Puerto Rican. We're a blend of Taino, Indian, Spanish, and African cultures. It's just a big blend. So I mean, I'm just proud to be who I am and part of here and having that here.
And Ruthie, we're proud to have you. Absolutely. And I can't say that enough.
Thank
Let me
you.
switch over to my brother and Sergeant Ed Gallardo, man. Now, bruh, you're in one of those positions and professions that, are respected throughout our country, and throughout the world. Law enforcement, what you guys do to protect our communities and, keep us safe, in our homes and our neighborhoods. How does that feel to be, a Latino leader, a sergeant, and leader in the police department, leader in your community, and how that culture that you bring from your family to the city of Aurora, how does that affect you, and what does that represent to you, brother?
It means a lot to me because initially there was actually a lot of pushback when I wanted to be the police, because historically,
From your family?
Yeah, from my family, because historically there's some distrust of the police in the culture. And I wanted to change that because I know how important we are to bridging those gaps with the community, try and make sure that we are protecting the cultures, every culture, but that also that we have a representative of this culture and the police department. A lot of times we feel safer talking to someone or reaching out for help if we identify with that individual. And that's what I carry every day, why I want to represent this police department in a positive light, because I'm not just representing the police department, but I'm representing my culture. I'm representing my family. And I've been able to win over a lot of their support. And actually, I got my sister to come into the profession, and she's actually with the Chicago police. And
Wow.
We're both trying to do what we can to be positive role models for the culture and the profession, to show you got to trust us. We're out there to help you, but we're also there to speak to you if need be. So that's what it means to me. It means a lot to me to represent my culture and my profession.
Man, that is great. That is great. The only thing that I have an issue with what you said is the fact that you talked your sister into becoming a Chicago police officer. Tell her to come on home to Aurora, brother. We got that new program. We can bring her on home, man.
I've been talking to her about it.
Let me know if I need to talk to her, brother. I'd be happy to reach out, man. But let me tell you something, man. Before we move on from you, Sergeant Gilardo, let me just say that your profession and what you just said, it's amazing. It's heartfelt that your people in your own family, based on the distrust of the police and many minority communities, gave you a little pushback, but you showed them that the police is who we are. The police is who we could represent. If you become the police, you can represent the whole of Aurora or any community, as well as your culture. Do you often tell young kids that don't have a particular thought about what it means to be police, because you can make that determination what the police is by becoming the police yourself?
Absolutely. We always talk about wanting to change. You want to be part of the change. To me, just because whatever historically police has been, we're moving forward. Just like AURORA AVANZANDO, well, my department we're doing the same thing. We're moving forward. We got to look to the past to see where we can get better, but we got to look forward at the same time. What can we change? And that's why I'm always trying to tell people, you want to be part of the change, you got to be on board. You got to join in and change it from the inside.
Absolutely, my brother. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I asked you about young people, and so I want to go to you, Gio Santana, as one of the youngest Latino leaders we have on the screen and in city leadership. How does it feel to you, to your culture, your upbringing, your parents, the folks that help give you the foundation of who you are today? How does it feel that you're part of this leadership team in Aurora and that your culture helped you to be who you are and helped you to get here?
It feels like Simon said, it's a heavy burden at times, but it's also a blessing, and it's important because Aurora is such a diverse community. I think it's vital that the community is represented in leadership positions throughout the city, and being that, you know, in the parks and rec environment, that's who we serve. We serve our community and making sure that we're providing the services for our residents and for our community. It's important.
Absolutely, absolutely, brother. And welcome aboard. Welcome part of the team in this conversation. Silvana, let's go to you. And I want to ask you a question. You know, you said you had come from Peru to the United States first. You know, Montana, then Chicago. What does it feel like to be, here in the United States of America, having come at an older age as an adult, with children? To come and be a part of and bring your culture to be a part of the culture as a whole. And I've talked to you before, and you visit, Peru a number of times, but you always come right back here to, the United States of America and be part of the Aurora team. Can you tell, how your culture, affects the way that you think and the way that you function, and why, it's important to be an American, and specifically an Auroran, coming from Peru?
Yeah, well, as a Latina woman, I'm proud of my Peruvian heritage and being an American citizen, because in this country, I find opportunities and a place where now I call my home, which is Aurora, because I feel here like I've been accepted, and I feel like so many people like me arrive, and we are like Ruth said before, we are like a melting pot of cultures, and no matter what your nationality, your belief, or your preference are, what matters is being part of the change, accepting that we are all different, and somehow we are contributing with our culture and our experiences to this community. And I thought I'm physically far from my family. We're in constant communication, and I always go back. It's like I live there, but I live here, and I love it. Aurora becomes my home now. So yes, I'm happy to be here.
And welcome home. We're happy to have you here. Something that you said that, we can be from different places and it seems like we're different, but when you look down, at who we are, under the skin color, under the language different, under the religion difference, we're all the same. We're all the same, which is why you often hear me say that we are one Aurora. And it's not just a tagline that we say, it's because in Aurora, even though we're different cultures, different religions, different ethnicities, we're all Aurorans. We're all the same, and we're all working hard to make a difference for our futures, for our families, for our children, for our grandchildren in the future. We are one, and when we recognize that, I think it's easier for us to all work together and make a difference. So we all row in the same direction. I don't want to leave you out, brother Tony. I'm coming to you, man. You got the Puerto Rican in the house, man. And I heard you say that, your father actually moved here from Puerto Rico, and settled. So tell us a little bit about that and how, being a part of America and the Auroran and Puerto Rico, just so everybody knows, is, a part of the United States. And one day we'll probably end up being the 51st state. A lot of folks say Puerto Ricans may disagree with me on that, it goes both ways.
No,
but
that's good.
but it's a Spanish culture there where most people speak Spanish. How is that coming from there to here, and how is it, how do you feel representing the Puerto Rican culture here in the city of Aurora?
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, my dad came in with 17 years old, and it wasn't by mistake. His brothers actually got here to Aurora before him. They actually opened a Puerto Rican store on Front Street, so a store that was open for more than 45 years. So they opened the store here, and they said, hey, this is a great city to be in. There's a lot of opportunity here. Come on over. My dad was the youngest out of 11. So his brothers were a lot older than he was. So he came here when 17 years old. He made a great living here. He was a factory worker. He actually worked at the Aurora Paperboard. For those who are lifelong Aurorans, Aurora Paperboard, then spent 35 years at Henry Pratt, actually. So, and this is where, he met my mom, who was also Puerto Rican. My grandparents were, came here in the 50s. And they always loved Aurora. And throughout my entire life, they always expressed the importance of remembering your culture, celebrating your culture, and also educating other folks, other people about our culture, right? And be proud. You know, I went to schools. I went to Catholic schools my whole life. You know, and I was afforded an education that my parents didn't have, but they stressed the importance of education. And some of those environments weren't as diverse as I would like them to be. You know, it was difficult at times, but at those times I was always proud of who I was, who I am as a Puerto Rican, you know, young male at that time, and also a proud resident of the city of Aurora. You know, so I've always been proud to be, you know, Puerto Rican, but also proud to be a resident of this great city.
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely. You know, we are all together moving Aurora forward. One Aurora, all of us together moving us forward. And let's talk about that. You know, we call this month AURORA AVANZANDO, the Spanish version of our hashtag Aurora Forward. Tell me more about what you do in your role. And this is where we're going to get specifically to what you do in your job. What do you do in your role or your job here at the city? And how does your job help move Aurora forward? Let's start with Simon. What do you do, brother?
We do a lot. You know, we have a great team. I would be remiss if I didn't bring up, you know, David Smith, Kevin Talkington, Coach Talkington, Sandra Sarmiento, my wonderful youth services staff that helps provide a lot of programs and initiatives. Everything from our youth sports initiatives, whether it's our City of Lights tournaments at the middle school level or our annual sports festival, which has been going on for 28 years now. I know Gio is a huge help with Phillips Park. Mayor, I want to know if you partook in that when you were younger, or I think it was introduced maybe in 95. So I don't think you're in middle school then. So, but it's just
hey, hold on, man. Hold on. You trying to tell people my age, brother? Because that doesn't sound like, man. It's not like you said, no, you too old for that, man.
Yeah, I was like, it was in 95. I think I was in middle school.
Mute
one of
button.
those later.
Mute. Go ahead, Simon. I'm messing with you, but go ahead, brother.
Yeah, no. So that we have a wonderful youth court program, a second chance program. We work with APD and North Aurora Police Department as a restorative justice program for youth to try to keep them away from the justice system and keep their, you know, record clean. Sandra runs that amazing program. We have a lot of, again, initiatives we helped launch with our IT department, the STEAM Academy, where we are going to impact over 750 kids with free state-of-the-art STEAM projects. David Smith, you know, in our office was instrumental in that as well. And we have our, as you saw it last week, we had our youth resource fair. We have that twice a year to make sure that we engage our community so they know the types of services and programs that are out there. And it's all about the partnerships. You know, that's one event that highlights our partnership with over 40 plus organizations that serve our youth from a wide range of services, whether it's health related, recreation, after school programs, summer camps, which we also help run along with CIS, Cities and Schools. So that's in a nutshell what we do, and we want to continue to. And one big thing too, Mayor, because you mentioned this earlier, is for me, representation is so important. And I know when, for example, especially if young Black men see our mayor is a young as an African American, our chief of police, I see the same responsibility when I see folks like Tony and Gio and other folks here with us, where they can see, wow, I see myself represented in this leadership, and I want to just put that out there, because that's what I see when I see all these amazing faces out here, is that beyond what we do on a day-to-day basis, we are hopefully inspiring that next generation to know that you all will be filling our shoes in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like, you know, you all said, young folks like yourself and Gio and Tony, you guys will be filling, you know, my shoes in the future. And I look forward to that day. Ruthie, what do you do, and how does that help move Aurora forward?
Well, our department is responsible for administering the property standards and zoning codes. So with that being said, when those codes are administered, it reduces the blight in our community. It also makes sure that our properties are maintained, and it makes the city a city that people want to come to. These efforts that we maintain they further expand the quality of life for our diverse cultures within the city of Aurora. So by doing that, it's important, our staff, we do work hard to make sure that on a day-to-day basis, to make sure that we are enforcing the codes. And with great management team here with John and April and Josh and myself and the other Josh, I mean, we just, and like I said, the staff, I want that to be known because like Simon said, it will help the younger people know that it's possible to be in our shoes and it's doable. Anything is possible.
Absolutely. Just like Simon said, we know we don't do it unless Simon said it. Anyway, let's go on to Gio. What's up, brother? What exactly do you do for the City of Aurora and how does that help move us forward?
So we maintain all the city-owned parks, the golf course, the zoo, and it's a part of moving the community forward because, like Simon and Ruthy said, it's about partnership. So we put here at the park, we put on Sports Fest. We maintain the baseball fields here in town that Aurora Boys Baseball plays on, that the Aurora Leagues play on, and it's all part of moving forward because we need to keep those services provided and at a high quality so that people do want to recreate here in Aurora versus leaving the community to go do recreation activities elsewhere, and preserving that again because especially now and today, recreation is such a important part of life and keeping kids healthy and keeping the community active. Mastodon Lake, we get so many visitors that come out here, walk and running around the park, and health is such a vital part to today's society. Just providing those services so that we can be not only one Aurora but a healthy Aurora too.
Absolutely, brother, absolutely. Let's go on to Silvana. Silvana, what do you do for the city and how does it help move us forward?
Okay. Well, I started working for the city in December 2017, and I was hired as an administrative assistant for the Mayor's Office of Communications. And then now I'm currently working as the city translator officially. So here we're all committed to serving our community, actively participating in events, promoting inclusion and diversity in the city. In my role as a translator, I have the responsibility to make sure all the residents who only speak Spanish language are well informed and getting the message. Since entering the city, I have been able to close see the potential and dedication of all of my coworkers, all of you, and you inspire me every day. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing my experience working as a translator and as administrative assistant, and I like to, strive, get the message, be helpful, be the link between the people that don't speak English and the people who, are American speakers English. So that's what I try to do every day.
Well, thank you very much, and you do it very well, might I say. Let's go to Brother Sergeant Ed Gallardo. Now, when people see that uniform and they hear you're a police officer, they make the assumption that they probably know what you do, that you just go out there and arrest people, give people tickets. But people don't realize what police officers do every day to help move our community forward and be peace officers and get to know our community and make a difference. Tell people what you do that they might not see behind the scenes or see behind that uniform that you do every day to make a difference and move Aurora forward.
So there's quite a few things. I'm assigned to the Area 2, which is the Near East Side. It has a high Spanish speaking population. So every day I'm responding to calls and I'm trying to inform people as to how to avoid putting themselves in situations, not necessarily criminal, but maybe civil, or just understanding how things work around here with regards to, hey, whether it's a city code, whether it's an ordinance, to educate them. Because unfortunately, sometimes they just don't know where to find that information. Every contact that we have, I view as a great opportunity for public service, for recruitment, and for just customer service. Mm-hmm. On the flip side as well, I'm a public information officer, and I'm one of the few Spanish-speaking public information officers in this area.
What does that mean, public information officer?
So we push out information that We communicate with the media oftentimes. Aurora's the second biggest city in Illinois. We're often in the news. So we speak to the media. We'll do interviews regarding critical incidents, major incidents, or initiatives that we're, the department's at the forefront of training. We consider ourselves to be one of the better departments in the nation, not just statewide. And being Spanish speaking, a lot of times I'm able to communicate with Univision or Telemundo to push out our message and the things that we're doing here and information to a larger Spanish speaking community as well. I'm also part of the recruitment team and trying to push out information as regards to we're inclusive by diversity. We're trying to make our department mirror the community that we serve. We're always pushing out information on social media, just like the Mexican Independence Day. We had not just Hispanic and Latinx officers at the photograph out front, but everybody, members from all parts of the department, to show inclusivity. It's about being a family here, and we want people to come and join our family from all walks of life.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And Tony, tell the people a little bit about what you do as Director of Communications and what that means for the city of Aurora.
So, I look at my position in our division as a support for all of the departments throughout the city, and to help keep our employees and our residents connected, right? And so with residents, making sure they know what services that we provide, highlighting the great things that we do as a city, what decisions are made from the city council floor, media relations. Our biggest thing is to try to keep everyone as connected as possible to create the environment of family. Right? I mean, Aurora is the second largest city, but I know many of the folks that have lived here for a long time, it still feels very small, right? Because we are a very tight-knit community. I feel even how big we are. So we provide that support for all of those departments and really making sure that we organize our information, our communication, so that people can easily find things when they need to find something. And then making sure that, we highlight the great things that we do, because there's so much that goes on throughout the city. We have so many great employees, so many great residents, right? So it is a tough job trying to summarize everything that happens on a daily basis, and cover everything. But that's what we try to do on a daily basis, is making sure that we make Aurora look as good as we can, and making sure that our information is clear, concise, and accurate to keep everyone connected.
And you guys do a great job. All of you guys do an amazing job. As we come to the last few minutes of our session here, I want you guys to boil down maybe like in a one sentence or a couple words. We always want to take the opportunity to pass on knowledge to the next generation of leaders. We have classrooms throughout Aurora watching today, and those that will watch later. What is one piece of advice you would pass on to the youth in Aurora? Just, in maybe a couple words or a sentence. Gio, what would you pass on, brother?
I would say definitely keep an open mind and be flexible. Things always have a way of working themselves out, and keep an open mind.
Thank you, sir. Simon, what would you say to the young people?
Wow, just be true to yourself. Remember where you come from, and that there's times in life where you might not feel like you're moving in the right direction or on track to be successful. There are others watching you and supporting you, and it takes a village, and we'll always support you.
Absolutely. We got Tony. What would you tell the young people coming up?
I would just say, just be proud of who you are, where you've come from, and also know that life happens quickly, right? If you're looking at this screen, you're saying, "Oh, well, that's 15 years from now, 20 years from now." Well, newsflash, it comes really quick. Richard, Mayor, when you said, the Aurora's first idol, that was when I was, 16 years old. I'm 35 now. It happens, and it felt like it was yesterday, but it happens in a blink of an eye. But just make sure that be ready and be proud of who you are.
Silvana?
Well, my advice for all of you is to work hard, stay focused, don't get discouraged with the obstacles on your way, study and prepare for the future, because you will be the leaders tomorrow. Nothing is impossible when you believe in yourself.
Absolutely. Ruthy?
I say be opening to listening, not giving up on your journey, and stay humble when it comes to trying to achieve your goals in life and in your career.
Absolutely. Sergeant Gilardo.
Every time that you meet someone that's different from you, focus on that being a learning opportunity on how you can grow your knowledge on different cultures and different people, and then focus on finding the similarities so that you can form bonds with those people.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to say two things that my grandfather told me when I was a little young boy that I didn't pay attention to then, but still ring true today. Everyone you treat, everyone you see, treat them like you want to be treated. Treat everyone like you want to be treated. And everything you do, try to do it well. You follow those principles as well as all these principles that these folks have shared with us, you guys will be successful in the future, and you'll have doors that these leaders have opened for you to follow in. You know, before I close out, Mr. Muhammad, do we have any comments that any of our listeners have given that you want to share with us?
A lot of positive feedback, Mayor. Thanks to everyone. A number of teachers who are texting, say kids are applauding after things right in class as you all are saying them. And so you're hitting the mark. So we really appreciate it. But a lot of great positive feedback coming from the community. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, kind sir. You know, let me thank our guests again today for being here and for bringing such professionalism and passion to their jobs. I look forward to the next week's conversation with another set of Latino leaders here at City Hall, including our Deputy Mayor, Memo Trujillo. Next week, we'll also have the Parade of Nations on Friday, first Fridays, followed by so many other events throughout October 15th. To learn more about events for Hispanic Heritage Month sponsored by the City of Aurora, visit www.aurora-il.org at Aurora Avanzando. I'll say that again, www.aurora-il.org/Aurora Avanzando. Thank you guys very much for participating in this show with us. It was very exciting. I'm sure, you know, as Clayton pointed out, you know, our young people and our teachers and everybody watching are very excited and looking forward to seeing your continued leadership here in the City of Aurora. You guys have a great afternoon. We're signing off. Thanks.
Yeah. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone.